It was supposed to be just another long night, the kind where you clock out exhausted, promise yourself you'll never stay late again, and then somehow do it anyway the next week. But that night changed the way I look at kindness forever. If you've ever helped someone without expecting anything back, stay with me, because by the end of this story, you might see the world a little differently. And if this story touches your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because stories like this remind us that small moments can change lives in ways we never imagined. The office party had dragged on longer than anyone expected. It was one of those awkward celebrations, cheap decorations, loud music that didn't quite fit the crowd, and people pretending to relax while secretly checking emails on their phones. I had planned to slip out early, but deadlines had kept me late, and by the time I walked into the conference hall, most people were already halfway through their drinks. That's when I noticed Daniel. Daniel was the quiet guy from accounting, always polite, always early, the kind of coworker who never complained even when everyone else did. He had a gentle smile and a habit of asking how your day was, actually listening to the answer. But that night, he was different. His tie was loosened, his eyes were glassy, and he was leaning against a table trying to laugh at a joke he clearly didn't understand anymore. I had never seen him drink before. As the night wore on, people started leaving in groups, laughing loudly as they called rides or stumbled toward the parking lot. Daniel stayed behind, nursing what looked like his fourth or fifth drink. Something about the way he stared into his glass, not sad exactly, but heavy, made me uneasy. Around midnight, I found him sitting alone near the exit, struggling to stand. "Hey," I said gently. "You okay?" He looked up slowly, as if trying to remember where he was. I think I had more than I should have." I laughed softly. "That makes two of us. Do you have a ride?" He shook his head. "My wife. She thinks I'm working late." There was something in the way he said it, a mix of guilt and exhaustion. "I'll drop you home," I offered. No point risking it. He hesitated, then nodded gratefully. The drive was quiet at first. Rain tapped lightly against the windshield, the kind of soft drizzle that makes the world feel smaller and more intimate. Daniel leaned his head back, eyes closed. After a few minutes, he spoke. "You ever feel like you're trying so hard, and still falling behind?" I glanced at him. "Sometimes." "Why?" He let out a long breath. "Medical bills. My son. He's been sick for a while. My wife works nights. I didn't want to worry her, so I told her everything was fine." His voice cracked slightly. "Tonight was the first time I've let myself forget for a bit. I didn't know what to say, so I just listened." He told me about hospital visits, sleepless nights, the quiet fear that sits in your chest when someone you love is hurting and you can't fix it. By the time we reached his street, a modest row of small houses with warm porch lights, my chest felt heavy too. I parked in front of a simple home with peeling paint and a small garden struggling against the cold. "Thank you," he said, fumbling with the door handle. "Let me help you inside," I said. He nodded. As we walked up the path, the front door opened before we even knocked. A woman stood there, tired eyes, hair pulled back hastily, worry etched across her face. "Daniel," she said, relief flooding her voice. "I'm okay," he murmured. I explained briefly that he'd had too much to drink and I wanted to make sure he got home safely. Her eyes softened. "Thank you, really." Inside, the house smelled faintly of soup and medicine. Toys were scattered near the couch, and a small nightlight glowed down the hallway. She guided Daniel to a chair, helping him sit. "I'm sorry," he whispered to her. She squeezed his hand. "You're home. That's what matters." I turned to leave, feeling like I'd intruded enough. But she stopped me. "Please," she said quietly. "Wait a moment." She disappeared down the hallway. I stood awkwardly near the door, listening to the soft hum of the house, a quiet that felt both peaceful and fragile. When she returned, she was holding a small envelope. "I know this might sound strange," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "But I want to thank you." I shook my head. "No, really, it's okay. I just gave him a ride." She smiled gently. "You did more than that. You brought him home safe. Tonight, I was scared. He's been carrying so much, and sometimes I worry he won't come back from it, not physically, but emotionally." She held out the envelope. Inside was a handwritten note. "Kindness is the only thing that keeps us going," it read. "Tonight, you gave our family a moment of peace." There was also a small photo. Daniel, his wife, and a little boy with a bright smile despite a hospital bracelet on his wrist. My throat tightened. "I'll never forget this," she said softly. Weeks passed. Life went back to its usual rhythm: meetings, emails, deadlines. But something about that night stayed with me. I found myself thinking more about the quiet battles people fight every day. Then one afternoon, Daniel stopped by my desk. He looked different, lighter somehow. "My son's treatment is going well," he said, smiling. "And I wanted to thank you again. That night, you reminded me I'm not alone." Months later, I received a letter in the mail. Inside was another note. "Our son is in remission," it read. "Your kindness was part of the strength that carried us through." I sat there, overwhelmed. Sometimes we think our actions are small. Just a ride home, just a few kind words. But to someone else, they can mean everything. So if this story touched your heart, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because sharing stories like this reminds us that compassion still exists, and that even the simplest gesture can echo far beyond what we see. And the next time you have the chance to help someone, even in the smallest way, remember this: you never know whose world you might be quietly changing.